Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Abigail, Stakeholder Engagement Manager at the UN Global Compact Network Singapore. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join us on this session this morning. So we'll play a quick corporate video while we wait for a few more people to join us. Bear with us and we'll speak again soon.
Welcome to the 17th UN Global Compact Network Singapore Summit. The theme for this year's summit is Forward Faster, Collective Action and Leadership for a Sustainable Future, which highlights the urgency of bold, decisive action as we enter the final 5 years to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
Despite global turbulence, Singapore companies remain steadfast, increasingly tracking, verifying, and delivering on their targets. The challenges are immense, but so are the opportunities. Together, we can show that profit and purpose are mutually reinforcing.
Climate change will not wait for us to get our act together. The key challenge of our time is how we can mobilize and sustain the collective will to act. This summit is itself a beacon for collective action as we come together to exchange notes on concrete actions, to develop capabilities and manage trade-offs needed to move forward faster towards a more sustainable future.
I would like to just emphasize that for the 15 years, we have reached out to 4,300 participants, and many of them have become professional in this field to promote sustainability. I'm sure we can groom more young people, and they will help us to change the world to be a more sustainable future.
Today's summit was a masterclass in inspiration, thanks to the powerful conversations and bold ideas that were shared with passion, energy and creativity. We are not just a sustainability forum, we're the local engine for global impact. Together, we translate global ambition into local action, and we elevate local success to achieve global influence. Sustainability is alive and well in Singapore. It's great to see. We had a great turnout today. Over 450 people came through today. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that great video. It's a great reminder of all of the work that we do here, accumulating in the summit, which will take place this year in September. But thank you again for joining us. Good morning, everybody. I'm Abigail, Senior Manager, Participant Engagement here in Singapore. Just to do a bit of housekeeping on how today's session is going to run. I would appreciate it if you have any questions, you could pop them into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer those either as we go along or at the end of the session. Today's session, we're going to kick off with a quick introduction from David Fogarty, our CEO here at the UN Global Compact Network Singapore. We're then going to have a presentation from Yulin Fang. Yulin is the Partner of Sustainability and Climate Change Practice Leader at PwC, and she's also a board member of the UN Global Compact Network. From there, we'll hand over to Sim Yao Yu. Sim Yao is from the UN Global Compact, and she is the Senior Participant Engagement Manager. And finally, I will then round things off with a presentation on what we have happening here on the ground in Singapore throughout the year coming up in 2026. So again, thank you for joining us. With that, I'm going to hand over to David. David, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you. Look, good morning, Happy New Year, and welcome to our first members event of the UN Global Compact Network Singapore. It's wonderful to see both new members joining us at the start of their journey and long-standing members who continue to lead and shape this community. For those I've not met yet, my name is David Fogarty. I'm the new Executive Director here at the UNGCNS. As I get to meet our membership over the past few months, I am really inspired by both your commitment to responsible business practices and recognition that by doing good is being good for business as well. This year, we mark 21 years of advancing responsible business practices in Singapore. This milestone reinforces our long-term commitment to convening, enabling, and supporting companies to lead on sustainability. Our role acts as a bridge between global principles and local actions, and it's never been more vital. We're here to help you navigate this new landscape, connect with your peers, and leverage real collective action to create real lasting impact. Goes without saying, we are meeting at a time of profound uncertainty. Around the world, businesses are navigating geopolitical tensions, economic headwinds, shifting regulations, and growing social expectations. Sustainability itself is facing political headwinds in many markets, with questions being asked about pace, priority, and commitments. And yet, this is precisely what the role of business and this network has never been more important. It's in moments like these, the importance of collective, non-state leadership become even clearer. Sustainability is no longer a nice to have. It's not a side program or a communication exercise. For me, it's about resilience, it's about relevance, and it's about value creation. We've seen that companies that integrate sustainability into their core business models are better equipped to manage risk, attract and retain talent, access capital, strengthen supply chains, and build trust with customers and communities. They're definitely more agile in the face of disruption and more credible in a world that's demanding transparency and greater accountability. The UNGCNS provides a practical framework to do exactly this, grounding business strategy in universal principles on human rights, labor, environmental, and anti-corruption, and aligning action with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Here in Singapore, our networks exist to help you translate those principles into action that makes sense for your business, your sector, and whatever stage of the journey you're on. Today's session is about maximizing the value of your membership, not just in terms of what you can access, but how you can use this platform to turn strategy into strength, learn from your peers, build partnerships, and turn sustainability challenges into opportunity for greater growth and greater innovation. We have some exciting new programs and membership benefits. You'll hear today from our team and our leading board member, Yuling, about our 2030 pillars and focus. They are the ability to equip companies to act with tailored tools and digital solutions to embed sustainability into their core. Catalyzing collective action to break down systematic barriers that we all face in climate, equality, decent work, and finance, and advancing the business case, providing a proving that responsible business drives innovation, resilience, and long-term value. I'll just close by saying, look, despite the noise, despite the uncertainty, the direction of travel is very clear. Business that lead with purpose and integrate sustainability into how they create value will definitely be the ones who endure and succeed. We're really glad you're part of this community, and we look forward to exploring how together we can turn ambition into impact. Over to you, Abby.
Thank you so much, David. Absolutely. We're here to work with everybody and all of our members here in Singapore, and we look forward to some great results this year. Thank you for that. I'm going to hand straight over to Yulin. Yulin, thank you so much for joining us today. We really look forward to hearing your presentation now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Abby, and thanks, David. And I just wanted to say, good morning to everybody, and hope that the year of 2026 has been good for you so far. I have to say that I completely agree with David as well. I think that there has been a little bit of uncertainty of political will, when it comes to climate change in particular from certain parts of the world, but I think that this is where businesses can step up, right? One of the key things I think in my thought was that it is inevitable, that the twin forces of climate, which is that we are probably going to be headed towards a climate impaired world. So for those who are familiar with the NGFS kind of scenarios, right, is that we've probably are going towards more leaning to a disorderly transition, where you have a climate impaired world. At the same time, the good thing is that the signs are clear that we need to move forward to a low carbon world, right? And that will require businesses actually to change and transform. One of the key things that I'm seeing a lot of is that now that we are 10 years, from the Paris Agreement, it is actually businesses are asking, what have I actually done? And there's a lot more discussions around, tracking, for example, green revenues, right, through taxonomies. And albeit, taxonomies, are quite disaggregated for good reason across the world, right? But I think companies are now saying, what have I done so far? How is my portfolio of revenues now turning green? What proportion of it is green? That would also reflect, right, how resilient I am as well, and how close and aligned I am to a low carbon kind of world, providing those kind of provision of services and products on that. But at the same time, am I adapting fast enough given that I'm going to hit towards a climate impaired world? This section is really, about COP30, that happened about just over 2 months ago. I know that, this is a little bit more of a reflection, but I think it's important to keep that kind of context in mind as we make decisions about what we want to do in our own organizations. COP30 actually took place, from 10th of November to 21st of November. I'm sure many of you on this call would have, at some stage, participated in COP or are planning to. And I think this is not completely exhaustive, but just to give you some of the key takeaways. Of course, if you want more details on that, definitely can find that, in the public domain on all the initiatives by all countries as well. And I'll be very happy to have a side conversation with you, if you want to double click into any of this. In my view, I think there were some wins and some not so good wins at COP. But no big groundbreaking areas in relation to decarbonization from my point of view. But there were bright shoots in some other areas such as nature, adaptation, carbon markets, and to an extent, financing as well. So in this presentation, I will take you through the context, which is what was expected into COP30. And I think that the expectations were kind of mixed, right? Given that political will was challenging in 2025. And but what were the key agreed and what are the key takeaways? And I hope that from that, it will be useful for you to kind of ruminate on that and say, what does that actually mean in terms of what I think would happen and how I could pivot my business as well? How will I accelerate some of the chosen areas for your kind of businesses? And just very briefly, the road ahead for COP31 and 32, which will be following closely. Okay, next slide, please. Next one, please. So if I were to just set the context, right, the Brazilian presidency actually aimed to deliver a COP focused on the implementation and delivery across 6 areas. So it was around transitioning energy transitioning in the energy and industry and also transport area. Also looking into more around forests, oceans, and biodiversity, transforming agriculture and food systems, because it does contribute a large part, agriculture, to climate change, right? And the other area also was around resilient cities, infrastructure, and water, because adaptation really matters. And at the same time, not forgetting the human element of it, how we bringing people along in terms of social development, which is really about the just transition. There are some cross-cutting themes that was going to be focused on, that had been focused on. Really, primarily, it is in relation to financing, technology, and also capacity building as well, which is, of course, something that the UN Global Compact is very focused on. Next slide, please. In this slide, next one, I summarize, what are the kind of like 5 broad key takeaways, and I'll double click on that, in the next following slides as well. Well, on the NDCs, on national determined contributions, 116 countries have submitted the 2035 NDC target, which is an update. I have to say that Singapore has remained steadfast. Why this actually matters is that it would also determine, right, the haste, at which, the policies are implemented, whether it is in relation to emission trading schemes, carbon tax, grants and incentives, and so on. So it gives you like a broad feel about, what are the kind of like activity levels, that will be happening at the country level. The other thing is that, I'll go into a little bit more details, right? But the 1.5 pathway is not exactly, we're not very close to it at the moment. We're probably closer to a 2.5, 2.6 degree kind of Celsius world. On mainstreaming nature, progress, and risks, the one thing that actually excited me was actually the TFFF yet another acronym, but it's called the Tropical Forest Forever Facility. And it is a global financing mechanism designed to provide long-term funding for tropical forest conservation, but rewarding countries to keep the forest standing. You will, of course, hear that there in the past, there has been quite a number of deforestation activities, and it does impact a big deal in terms of how it sequesters carbon dioxide and also our CO2 emissions as well. So I think this is actually quite important. Again, looking into the nature part of it, and so it is not surprising, right, that when you look at standard setters, financial standard setters like the ISSB, so they've come out to say, around the time during COP, and also, expanded on it at COP 30, is that they will be developing nature-related disclosure standards, which is talking about how nature actually impacts financially corporates. Right, so I think that the TNFD was a good framework to start with, and that, of course, will be incorporated in the ISSB in due time. And we look forward to their presentation on this, on the draft. I believe it's sometime later this year. The other area was around scaling high integrity carbon markets. That also has a strong linkage to nature as well. I'll talk a little bit more about the Open Coalition on Compliance Carbon Markets and the Coalition to Grow Carbon Markets a little bit later. I know many people are interested in this, which is about fossil fuels. 23 countries have pledged to the Bellum 4 times pledge, which is about sustainable fuels. So that's a good thing. But there is still an anticipated fossil fuel gap as well. And at COP 30, the negotiations had not landed on a phase-out roadmap. We'll come on to that a bit later. Adaptation, very important. If we are headed towards a climate impact world, a 2.5, 2.6 degree world by 2100, and we're already feeling the effects right now, it is quite important to, in your climate scenario analysis, in your climate transition plans, right, to really look into how are you protecting your organization, including along the value chain as well. Understanding those risks is extremely key. So there has been some progress in terms of tripling adaptation finance by 2035, which was secured, which is a good thing. So next slide, please. Now, double-clicking on those few areas. The first area, are we close to 1.5? No, absolutely not. So if new unconditional NDCs, which is those that don't require, say, international support, were actually fully implemented, the warming could be limited to about 2.3 to 2.5 by 2100. But we still have a very, very large gap. What does this actually mean? I mean, I've mentioned that Singapore has remained steadfast, but the key thing is that we still have a gap. So there is opportunity for many of our companies here, you in your organizations, to create the kind of products and services, right, to accelerate that kind of closure of that kind of gap. So that's where the opportunity is. So if you're a company, which is looking into, energy efficiency for buildings, I think that, that is a big opportunity as well. Or it's in relation to more sustainable, kind of like food and agriculture projects. Of course, that would be an opportunity. So the gap, there's a lot of space to play in relation to that. Staying the course, I would say that, from a Singapore perspective, the steadfast NDC commitments, would say that Singapore is still looking very closely into, meeting the climate targets as well. So there's also, opportunity here in Singapore. One thing, that I personally, have been paying more attention to is adaptation. It's tough, because of the intersection between what can businesses do versus what is government doing as well. So that kind of delineation between business and also government support, in terms of adaptation is a little bit blurred. But I think that should not stop us to trying to understand what is the risk at hand and what is it that we can do as well. And also, if we know what the risk is and you're concerned about that, then what is it that we can feed back to key stakeholders to say that what can we do about it to safeguard our risks in relation to adaptation as well. So the next slide, please. Thank you. I'm now going to double click into nature. So as I mentioned, the ISSB has made some moves on nature. They had some choices in terms of what they wanted to focus on. Not that the other choices were not important, but because of the nexus between climate and nature, and if you kind of read more about nature, you can see that nature ecosystem services dependencies, really, is an adjacency to climate change. and I suppose that is why, the ISSB had made the decision, said that we're going to be studying about nature now and how that actually impacts the prospects of a company. So the financial side of things. So we look forward to seeing, the draft that comes out, which is due actually in COP17, the Biodiversity COP, in October 2026 as well. Take note that they're not starting from scratch. Some of your companies, or some of you might actually have already done some exposure in terms of to be exposed to the TNFD. I would also like to highlight to you that, likewise with climate, you have to look at the climate and nature together, but also will actually be impacting both the real economy and also financial services as well. Financial services, of course, you're exposed to many of these kind of climate risks. You will probably have already done your resilience, testing on that, and your stress testing. Now, just to open up the aperture a little bit more and look into climate as well. I mean, as companies, I think it is our duty, to actually understand not only the opportunities as well, but to discharge, our duties. We will need to also understand better, the risks as well, so that we can respond to that, to enable business resilience as well. So business resilience is absolutely key. And if you think about what Emmanuel Macron, right, said, at the World Economic Forum more recently, he said, it's really about, politics, right? I mean, stability in terms of politics. It's also, and the other area that he said, it's about climate, right? So I think, and if you look at the World Economic Forum, highlights as well, near term, I think, of course, there is overshadowed, by some of the more geopolitical movements around the world, But if you look at it longer term, the climate, nature, biodiversity, adaptation risks are not going to go away. So how are we preparing for that kind of risk? Okay, moving forward, please. Next slide. I mean, just is something that, I had actually done as a pilot project, just to understand a little bit more around how would nature actually manifest, right? And this is a report. I can share that with you as well. But it's really just so that, just as an example, of looking into Singapore's own risk in relation to nature, you can see here on the left-hand side that certain industries are more exposed, right? And I know that probably some people are raising their eyes at why fishing, agriculture, and forestry. It is risky, but it's just that the good thing is that we are not highly exposed to that in Singapore, given that that's not really a large industry. In fact, it is immaterial in the whole GDP contribution as well. So that's the good thing. But if you look into just on-premise, in-country kind of risk, there are certain kind of industries, which are large in Singapore, which have more of what we call the nature value at risk. And I would say that it's a rewiring of the mind to understand, okay, what kind of ecosystems work, ecosystem services work and not work in the particular country, whether it's flood control, storm mitigation, water flow regulation, soil and sedimentation retention, water supply, which are important, for certain kind of industries that a country is more materially to expose for. So it's really opening up the aperture to look at in-country risk. But for a country which is more exposed to global trade and global supply chains like Singapore, are we also looking into that and say that where I'm sourcing from, is that going to be a nature risk to me? So, for example, if you're sourcing from a particular country for a kind of agricultural kind of input, is that going to go away given the nature risk of the particular country where you're sourcing from? So it is good to open up the aperture, have the discussion with management and say that, am I at risk in relation to my value chain as well? Okay, moving on. The next thing I wanted to double click on is in relation to carbon markets. And there are two initiatives, this is not all of it, but I'm just highlighting some of it, which is the Open Coalition on Compliance for Carbon Markets and the Coalition to Grow Carbon Markets. So both of them, I believe, of course, that the Singapore is also, supporting that and contributing to that. And for the first one, is an international commitment aimed at integrating global decarbonization initiatives and establishing a common carbon pricing framework among countries is super important, right? And the coalition will be able to enable countries to collaborate on best practices on monitoring, reporting verification on MRV, establishing common accounting standards, and ensuring the integrity of offset mechanisms. So this part of it, I think, is super important for the integrity of the carbon markets, which is, of course, we need to focus on to build, to enable that kind of trust, right? The other one is the coalition to grow carbon markets. It brings together ambitious governments committed to advancing climate action through scaling high integrity use of carbon credits. It was actually launched at London Climate Week in June 2025. It is co-chaired by Kenya, Singapore, and the UK. And it looks into essential private sector investment mobilization to accelerate high integrity market capable of unlocking 50 billion US in debt-free additional financing by 2030. So actually quite near in terms of the future, and also helping to close about 1.3 trillion the financing gap for contributing that for climate action as well. On the right-hand side, which is what Singapore has presented at COP or updated at COP30 as well, the guidance on role of carbon credits in corporate decarbonization, something that MTI had come out with in terms of the guidance. It is very, very important. I would say that it is really important to see that if you are looking into, many of you would have made some kind of corporate targets as well. And whilst the GHG protocol, of course, is undergoing some kind of revision at the moment, particularly for Scope 2 and other areas, of course, Scope 3 as well. The SBTI as well is undergoing through revisions as well. I think you should look at this in combination with the potential updates from some of the standards, and including the ISSB too, to see how is it that you can stitch together a credible decarbonization plan, looking into all the different types of solutions, underpinned and supported by the credible guidances and also standards as well. We want to make sure that we make progress, at the same time enable trust as well. So that would be my advice, to look into this guidance on role of carbon credits. What are the principles that really matter to enable trust and also to progress in carbon credits to help you in terms of your decarbonization as well. And the other area that I would say that is coming out alongside with that is the claims guidance, which is looking into what are the more detailed ways in terms of how a company can actually claim, in terms of the carbon credits, in terms as part of their decarbonization plan. So stay tuned for that one. That will be launched, within the first 6 months of 2026 as well. Again, in combination with other kind of changes, how do we review your decarbonization plan, including renewable energy, RECs, and so on, to decarbonize as well. Of course, the other thing that we have been focusing on is the traction part of it, which is the multi-stakeholder initiative to retire coal plants. Before the previous slide, please, in Asia, using high integrity transition credits as well. Really difficult stuff to do, but we need best ideas right now and make the best ideas with. Okay, next slide, please. Over here, I think I won't go into too much detail, but there has been some fossil fuel transition part of it. I think it was said that we didn't quite land in terms of phase out of fossil fuels, but they would come back on 2026. Where a smaller group of countries will work together on a more targeted roadmap on that. That's quite important, because that would again, see how fossil fuels phase out or phase down, will be accelerated at the pace at which, and that will really inform how you inform your strategy, how your decarbonization pathway will look like, for that country. So I think do look out for that. But there are things, happening here and there, to push, decarbonization, particularly in the high emitting kind of sectors or areas. In Singapore, of course, solar deployment is key. Low carbon active import of low carbon electricity, and also the sustainable aviation fuel. I think these kind of trends, do have a look at it and see how is it that would impact me and inform your business strategy going forward as well. Next slide. I mentioned I wanted to talk about adaptation. Over here, I think a small win or maybe a notable win is that the adaptation financing, there is a gap, right? But in terms of the financing for this, it is improving. It was very, very small in terms of that for at Glasgow. We've actually managed to triple that at COP30, so that's good. But making it more localized, right? I think for Singapore perspective, the National Adaptation Plan is being developed. I think we should follow that closely. This will inform your climate transition plans. It will inform your climate scenario analysis. And that would, of course, feed into your overall business strategy and also resilience as well. This, I think, many of your board members, your management will be interested in, because how does that actually derail or how does that actually inform my strategy as it stands right now? So next slide, please. And this is the last slide. I think that if you felt as if the COP30 was a mixed bag, I think we should I think just take that and see how that actually informs our near-term type of or mid-term kind of outlook at this point in time. But we also should look forward to COP31 and COP32. On COP31, maybe I just want to highlight today that the fossil fuel phase out, while the roadmap to phase out the fossil fuel was not concluded in COP30, but the Brazilian presidency has confirmed that there will be a plan to do this and develop this outside of the official UN proceedings. So together with Colombia, Netherlands, the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative will host the International Conference of Just Transition Away from Fossil Fuels in April 2026 in Santa Marta, Colombia, and start to shape this roadmap. So you should also see whether or not something comes out from that. In the following COPs, the next COP, of course, will be held in Turkey with Australia presiding over the negotiations. And Australia has the opportunity to come up specific priorities at COP31, including ocean protection, traditional knowledge, and also try to see whether we can meet the 1.5-degree goal as well. And COP31 is expected to move Article 6.4 from design to implementation, so that we're around the carbon markets as well. So moving on, slowly building on the carbon markets again. COP32 will be in Ethiopia with the African presidency residing over that. And that would be, as I understand, looking into loss and damage, which is important, for adaptation, particularly, for, I guess, developing countries or smaller countries and scaling that kind of adaptation as well. So in conclusion, I think I have 5 points to make. We are still, again, as I mentioned at the outset, moving towards a low carbon world. And we should do this and think about how we can have shift or tilt our portfolio, our products and services, to one which is more aligned to low carbon. And because this is part of business resilience, but do that in a pragmatic way, informed by good information. We are also moving towards a climate impaired world. What are we doing as organizations to make sure that we're prepared for that? We are making sure that we understand the physical risks in country, but also in our supply chains and respond to that as a company. The other area is do not ignore nature. It is very linked to climate as well. You can understand this risk better. It opens up the aperture in terms of understanding key risks of your organizations. If you don't have any risk, that's great. But if you have, respond to that, but at least you know. The other area also is to consider all kind of areas as part of decarbonization plan, but of course it must be built on trust and integrity as well. Carbon credits is one area, and the other area as well, is of course is other areas like mitigation, energy efficiency, use of RECs, and so on. But I suppose that the last point that I would say that whilst political will on this topic can be mixed at this point in time. But this is an opportunities where corporates can do more and can collaborate more with each other. So thank you very much for listening in.
Thank you so much, Yulin. That was very, very interesting. Really key insights and great takeaways and great thought-provoking questions for all of our participants to really sit and ruminate over as they look forward to their business plans and what's, their operational plans for the next year or 2 or 3. Thank you so much for that. If anybody does have any questions, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, please do put them into the Q&A chat function, and we will see if we can address those. Appreciate it for listening in at this stage. But thank you so much, Yulin. Really, really interesting. Okay, we'll keep moving along because I know everyone's time is precious. At this point, I'm going to introduce Sim Yao. Sim Yao, please take the stage. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Yulin, for sharing your insights from COP. It's a really good reminder from Yulin that global conversation has shifted from commitments to delivery, and collaboration remains to be the strongest enabler. And at the UN Global Compact, we also learned from the past 25 years of uniting business that sustainability and business performance are not only compatible, they are inseparable. So today, I'm really delighted to update you that after extensive consultations last year, the UNGC has put forward a new strategy. And today I will share some key pillars of the new strategy that will really chart our course to the year 2030, as well as an overview of our programmatic offerings in the year 2026. So being members of the UNGC, your company leadership already committed to a set of principles. Up to now, our role has largely been about uniting business, bringing companies together under a shared commitment to responsible practices and aggregating their impact. That foundation remains to be really important. But to meet the really fast-changing business landscape, we're evolving our approach. We're shifting from uniting business under shared principles to mobilizing them. So this means we are building a more coordinated action that can deliver scalable impact beyond a single company level change. Our new strategy highlights that we want to mobilize business to transform sustainable ambition into action at the scale the world really demands. So today we're going beyond just simply convening companies. We are equipping and empowering businesses. And finally, as part of the United Nations, we are uniquely positioned to respond to the world's most pressing challenges. Our global reach and our 70 country networks, including our network in Singapore, really allow us to mobilize business at scale. So we're answering the call to lead, not just participate in shaping a more sustainable future. Our strategy will be anchored by these 3 pillars David already briefly mentioned in his remark. First, we will equip companies to act, supporting every participant on their sustainability journey with digitally accessible tools, guidance, and learning opportunities. So we will help you better navigate to all the tools, resources that you will benefit the most from. And here we aim to build capacity for you to take meaningful action to advance respect for human rights, ensure fair labor practices, safeguarding the environment, and combating corruption. Next, we also want to catalyze collective action, moving from individual progress to a shared and scalable solution. And that's where really significant change can happen. So we're going to leverage our participant base of more than 23,000 businesses from 163 countries to mobilize companies and other stakeholders like the government, NGO, and academia towards a more transformable change. Lastly, we want to advance the business case, where we demonstrate that a business grounded in responsible and sustainable value is not only the right thing to do, but also a smart business decision. We will connect the dots between responsible leadership and business advantage by highlighting leading UNGC companies as real examples of what good really looks like. And we want to provide tangible models for others to follow. So we're going to work with you closely to demonstrate that sustainability is not just a moral obligation, but a driver of long-term advantage. So now I want to highlight our global level engagement opportunities. And please note that we are still finalizing the full list of offerings. And I'm really keen to schedule some follow-up conversations to map out your company's specific priorities and to create a specific engagement plan for you to work with the UN Global Compact. So first, I want to share with you this year, our global programs will focus on this set of issue areas, driving progress where it matters the most. And the three key issue priorities cover the environment, social, and governance. This year, under the environment topic, we are prioritizing the topic of climate mitigation and credible 1.5-degree pathways. So that means we are helping you accelerate corporate net zero commitments aligned with globally recognized standards like SBTi. We'll help you mobilize company leadership to advocate for ambitious climate action and net zero transitions. We are going to partner with national governments to strengthen and implement NDCs, as Yulin also highlighted as an area of collaboration. Also, we're going to integrate ocean-based solutions to achieve measurable climate outcomes, as well as advancing water quality and air quality initiatives. I know it's really important to many countries in Asia. Under social aspect, we are prioritizing human rights due diligence, equality through targeted non-discrimination and equity initiatives. Under governance, we are prioritizing anti-corruption collective action. And then in addition to these three issue areas, we also identified 5 sustainability enablers. And these are the key drivers that will enable business to transform and accelerate progress across the above mentioned 3 issue priorities. And the enablers are, first, business leadership and policy. So this year, we're going to focus on C-suite integration, mobilizing CEOs and C-suite to drive responsible business leadership on critical global issues. For example, we have targeted convening for CEOs and other C-suites. In the Asia region, we're also creating a CSO, Chief Sustainability Officer, or Sustainability Leaders peer learning group. And second is sustainable supply chains, and with a focus on building resilience for SMEs, small, medium-sized enterprises. I know this is a very important group of businesses in Singapore. So we will continue to offer our SME participants the Spark training program. If you are from a large company, I see we have a few in the audience, we can also offer you and help you roll out this free training program to your suppliers who are small and medium-sized. And the third one is around sustainable finance with a focus on blended finance. Build frameworks and tools to align corporate investment and financing, elevate the role of CFOs to create a mainstream market for SDG finance. The fourth driver is innovation, which is integrating SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to drive business value and spotlight emerging areas to drive innovation opportunities to advance the business case on corporate sustainability. The last one is around sustainability reporting. By leveraging our annual communication on progress, COP, as a tool that generates actionable insights to identify opportunities and drive business to lead with credibility and purpose. So with all of these topics in mind, this is an overview of the channel of offerings. On each of the relevant issue areas, we're going to offer these opportunities. We offer accelerator training programs. Some of you may be familiar with these. Some of the accelerator programs will be implemented at the country level. So in the next presentation shared by Abigail, you may learn more. But if it's not offered in Singapore, we will offer a global track for your participation, so you are not missing out on anything. We also have global and regional peer learning groups, academy courses, which, as a reminder, is free for all of your employees to access and to learn. We also have solution-driven incubating think labs, multiple convening to bring stakeholders together, tools, resources, action-driven coalition, working groups, and collective action campaigns. Let's take a closer look. I know the clock is ticking. I'm trying to be quick. On the topic of the environment, our issue area, as a reminder, is climate mitigation and credible 1.5-degree pathways. And here's a snapshot of the exact offerings for your reference. As a reminder, our final full list of offerings will be finalized later this month, but I can share with you now, and this is just a very quick snapshot that for example, we have 5 academy learning courses on the topics such as air pollution, SBTI, circular economy, nature and biodiversity. And I think these are really good resources for internal engagement. Once we have the full list and the timeline, I'll definitely share with all of you and have a detailed conversation tailored to meet your company's needs. On the topic of social sustainability, our priority area this year is around human rights and equality, human rights due diligence. So similarly, we also have multiple offerings lined up with really refreshed contents, such as human rights and AI. On governance, our focus is around anti-corruption, and we're running a new accelerator training program called the Business Integrity Accelerator. It really helps companies to increase the knowledge of how to prevent corruption and how to understand the UN guiding principle on anti-corruption. And we also give visibility to the best practices. We promote behavior change internally and externally to help you achieve measurable results. We'll help you also monitor progress through a set of KPIs. On our sustainability enablers, we also offer various accelerator training programs, peer learnings, academy sessions, and convening. We continue to encourage companies to sign up to our 4 faster targets to demonstrate your ambitious action. I mentioned earlier that our SME, small medium-sized enterprises members, receive this free learning access to the Spark training program. And this year's Spark program is revamped with a more condensed learning cycle, because I know everyone's time is precious. And now we're also focusing on very tangible learning content. And of course, we always will continue to convene our sustainability professionals from around the world. Our flagship event is the Leaders Summit during the UN General Assembly Week in New York in September. Last year, we had quite a few sustainability leaders from Singapore join as speakers and attendees. For example, we had colleagues from AIA, CDL, and Shein join as speakers. So this year, we are going to build our convening to be more action and solution driven with thematic events covering our global key priority areas that I mentioned earlier. For example, we have a Spark forum for SMEs and companies that want to work more closely with their suppliers. We have Dilemmas forum for public affairs officers and legal officers. So we have more stakeholders being covered. We also have presence and side events at other major UN and sustainability convening to bring forward the voice of the UNGC participants. All right, this is all from me today. I look forward to really sharing the full details of our programmatic plan with you with concrete timelines in the next few days. And back to you, Abby.
Thank you so much, Simiao. As always, it's great to hear what's going on the global level. It reminds everybody that we're not just a local organization, but we are this global organization, and we're all connected through various channels. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay, everybody, it's good to see you. I'm just going to quickly talk on what's happening in Singapore. We can probably just skip this slide, Tim. I really just want to introduce everybody to the Singapore team and to quickly talk about who we are. Obviously, this is A reminder that we are a dedicated local team here in Singapore. We cover participant engagement, sustainability capability training, carbon CPLC management team. We have partnerships, events, communications, and a finance team here as well. So it's really important that our members here know that it's not a passive membership. You have direct access to people who can help you navigate our programs and connect you with the right opportunities. So really, our role here is to help you as organizations understand your sustainability priorities and help you identify where UNGCNS can add value and guide you towards the right initiatives. So I'm going to go through a few more slides and tell you what we have coming up here on the ground in Singapore, because we've got a lot of new things and initiatives for you to be aware of. So next slide, please, Tin. It should be sticker book, is that right? Yes. Okay, great. So one of our newer and upcoming tools that we have coming out is the UNGCNS sticker book. This is going to be launched next month in February, I believe. Sticker book is a gamified micro-learning platform designed to build sustainability awareness in a simple and engaging way. It's a great way to deliver and to understand short, bite-sized content for all of your employees to complete alongside their day-to-day work. So it's really useful if you're looking to raise your baseline sustainability literacy, not just within the sustainability teams, but across functions. It's also CDP recognized certificates, which means it's a great option for learning and development teams who want structured yet accessible training. So please keep your eyes open for this. It will be launched, like I said, in the next month, I believe. Next slide, please, Tin. Next, we have coming up a really exciting initiative. This is STAP, STAP, the Sustainable Technical Advisory Panel. This is an initiative designed to help organizations really in their advisory and help them with real-world implementation. So STAP is going to connect experienced sustainability leaders with members who are looking for practical guidance. It's really going to be ideal for members who need direction rather than full consulting engagements. And what it's going to do is going to really give a light touch advisory to help members move towards more measurable action. So the details are, at the moment, we would ask our members to complete a form, show interest, and then we can help connect them to the correct individual as they're looking for guidance as they go forward. So really excited about this launch. It's going to be coming again in the next month. So please do look out for the emails on this, and we can see how we can help connect your organizations with some practical guidance and support. Next slide, thank you. So one of the next initiatives we have coming out is really an exciting one for those who are looking for a collective workshopping, and really it's a way to help members translate sustainability into sector relevant action. So we're going to be launching industry working groups here in Singapore. And these working groups are going to bring together companies from the same industry to focus on shared challenges, emerging regulations, and practical solutions that are specific to sectoral approaches. At the moment, our priority focus areas will be built environment and maritime and logistics, where there's strong momentum around decarbonisation, supply chains, and operational efficiency and resilience. So the industry working groups are designed to not just be discussion forums. They're designed to have real in-depth learning, and we're hoping that it will help organizations where there is policy change and market developments, and really help shape conversations that matter to your industry. So I have sent out some information on this. Do follow the tracking documents and register your interest for these industry working groups. The next slide, please, Tin, is on peer learning groups. As Sim Yao mentioned, these are a UN Global Compact initiative. It's going to be the first time that we're going to be running the peer learning groups here in Singapore on the GCO templates. So these are facilitated learning groups which will bring together leaders on topics as climate action, living wage, water resilience, gender equality, and sustainable finance. We're going to start the emphasis here with climate action and water resilience. These peer learning groups are really here to create a trusted space for peer-to-peer discussion and really offer practical insights and fresh perspective as we look at these two topics. So together, the industry working groups and the peer learning groups are going to give our members two complementary ways to engage, one through a sectoral lens and the other through shared sustainability challenges. I'm really looking forward to seeing these come together. So please do reach out to me for more information on how your organization can get involved in them. Next slide, please. Again, as Sim Yao has mentioned, we have the accelerator programs. I know that the Business and Human Rights Accelerator Program is currently open for applications now. I believe that's going to be closing by the end of this month, and the first session is on the 31st of January. You will have seen emails on this. Please do register your interest. The other thematic accelerators, which will be held in Singapore for sure, are Climate Ambition. But if we're not going to be running them in Singapore, you can join them on the global basis. Do look out for more information on those as well. Finally, we're not just about learning, but also about convening, as Sim Yao has said. So we here in Singapore, we have our flagship events and programs. The 18th Annual Summit will be set for September this year, September the 2nd. Please do save the date for that. The program is currently being structured and reviewed, and it should be ready to publicize soon. We're looking forward to seeing as many as you can at the summit. As you saw in the video at the beginning of the session, we had over 450 people coming to last year's events. It's a great opportunity to get together, to convene, and to discuss key issues that are happening within the sustainability landscape. So please do save the date for our summit. Finally, the Apex Awards are also currently open. Our Apex Awards, again, are the Corporate Sustainability Awards. These are some of the most prestigious corporate sustainability and recognition tools that we have here in Singapore. It's for businesses whose operations or solutions have exemplified the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact on environment, human rights, labor, and anti-corruption. So do consider putting your organization forward for the two categories, either sustainable business or sustainable solutions. As you can see on the screen, the applications are currently open. Please scan the QR code, join one of the information sessions to learn what it means for your business to put themselves forward for this award. We're opening the sessions now so that you can learn more. Thank you. And then this is finally our calendar of events as it stands currently for Singapore. Next week, we have a launch of our executive guide to nature-related disclosures in conjunction with SLR. It's an in-person event at the Singapore Sustainability Academy, a breakfast meeting. If you haven't yet seen the invitation for that, do sign up and join us. We'd love to see you there. Coming up in February, we'll be holding a post-budget review on the Singapore budget, which is being announced on the 12th of February. And then as we go further into the year, we do have more coming up, but the confirmed meeting so far is when the UN Oceans team will be in town for Singapore Maritime Week. Then we have our SME Day in June. And like I mentioned, this summit on the 2nd of September. So we try to have as many events as possible for our members, opportunities to get together, to discuss, to have some discourse, and to get some face time to hear from all of you what's important to your business. So just one final slide from me is to mention that we have a special offer for organizations at the moment. It's 21 years of impact here in Singapore. UNGCNS is 21 years old this year. So we are offering 21% off all training programs throughout 2026 as an offer to our members. It's really for members to think about how they could look at doing some customized corporate training within their own organization. There are also selected public courses across sustainability, supply chains, carbon management, and social impact. This is valid until the 31st of December 2026. Please do reach out to me to find out more about how you can take advantage of this offer. I'm happy to share the details on what it would mean for your organization to offer some internal training on sustainability issues like this. My final slide is really just to really encourage all of you to maximize your membership here in Singapore. As you can see, we have various ways for you to do that. Do subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure you're following us on LinkedIn to learn about what's coming up. Please do check out the courses on the Academy. And obviously, if you have any questions around the COP, the tools are there online. The links are shown in the final slide. So there really is plenty of ways to engage with us throughout the year, either via the trainings, the member working groups, the peer-led learning groups, all these in-person events that we will be holding and hosting. So I think that's really it from me on just really looking for ways to engage with you. We're always here to hear your thoughts, feedback, and if you have topics or suggestions on how you might like to convene, we're always open to hear those as well. That's it from my slides. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's any Q&A from anybody. Oh, yes, somebody has asked if the presentation deck can be shared, and I believe that is a yes across the board. I'll ask you, Lynn, if that's also okay to share the slides. As we said, with the global offering from the GCO, there is the caveat that there is the slides are not yet formalized. They'll be formalized by the end of this month, but we're happy to share. If there's any other questions, I don't see any here. Okay, it's fairly straightforward then. We're obviously all very clear in our presentations. So I want to thank you for your time today, everybody. It's been a really interesting session. I hope this mobilizes and energizes everybody for 2026. And I look forward to seeing you at some in-person events in the very near future. Thank you very much to our speakers today. Thank you, David. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you, Sim Yao. I appreciate your time. And everybody have a good day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you. Bye.
Thanks.
We warmly welcome you to the 3rd Apex Corporate Sustainability Awards Gala Dinner, proudly hosted by UN Global Compact Network Singapore. And I predict tonight is going to be an evening of celebration, inspiration, and connection that help us move forward together.
Tonight, every finalist and winner is a testament to the progress and potential of business in shaping their sustainable future. To the course of this journey, both finalists and winners are champions, united by commitment, courage, and continuous improvement. Sustainability is never gone. It is a continuous process, a cycle of ambition, innovation, and reflection.
Over the past 2 decades, UNGCNS has helped to shape this transformation by providing a platform for dialogue, learning, and collective action. It has encouraged companies in Singapore to embed sustainability at the heart of their strategies. I congratulate UNGCNS for the work you are doing in helping get companies going, sharing knowledge, spreading the word, and I want to thank the participants of the work we are doing in your own individual topics, global effort that you all require.
I want to extend my warmest congratulations to all the finalists and our outstanding winners tonight. So your achievements are a powerful reminder of the bold vision, innovative thinking, and steadfast commitment can deliver an advantage our shared sustainability goals. And we hope that even more of you step forward, not just to be recognised, but to inspire others through your leadership, experience and ideas.